Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the WTF1 podcast, Azerbaijan post-practice edition. Yes, we've had FP1 and FP2 around the streets of Baku, and we thought we'd do a little reactive podcast, as always, to talk about some things that are being discussed. There's a few big talking points that we'll get into, and of course, there's the WTF1 founder, Tom Bellingham, in his Ajax shirt. He's proper Dutch fanboying today. You should combine the cape with that, and you may well morph into Max Verstappen. I'm not sure.
I don't think he. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure he doesn't support Ajax, but
Dutch anyway. So I guess you're channeling your Max fanboy vibes, as you can see. More orange and absolutely, looks good on you. Shall we dive into some questions? I think we should. At Stefan Akins asks, when will porpoising become a safety issue, and will the FIA take safety measures? Now, Ferrari in particular were a car, especially in the hands of Carlos Sainz, where it was absolutely ridiculous. We've been complaining about porpoising a lot and kind of bouncing up and down and all that stuff, but this was like violent bouncing. This was like head banging to the extreme, especially in the hands, as I say, of Carlos Sainz. And he's come out previously and said that he thinks that porpoising could become a health issue for drivers. I love how Charles Leclerc,
for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how Leclerc, I think on the same weekend, was like, no, don't really care. So drivers obviously are a bit split in the opinion of it. But as for when the FIA will take safety measures, I think we have reflected on this question a bit before. And I think it was, again, a good example looking at all the teams across FP1. It's not happening for everybody. Ferrari are an extreme version. I think Mercedes is struggling with it as well. You could see down the long straight down towards turn one. But then you look at Red Bull, when the only thing bouncing for them was their rear wing. So they didn't really have the problems with the porpoising. So for me, again, I think it's a case of, if it's uncomfortable for your driver and you're putting them at risk, change the setup, because there is ways of fixing porpoising, as we've seen.
Absolutely. We know that, we've been told that the whole porpoising thing is because they're trying to obviously lower the cars so much to get the downforce, then they get this porpoising. So it would be unfair to essentially give a huge advantage to Mercedes, who are struggling, and Ferrari, when other teams have sorted it and don't have that problem, because there is a quick fix, and it's make the car, don't go ridiculous on the ride height, but the teams want to do that because it makes the car quicker. And we know Formula One teams they do care about the driver, but a Formula One engineer, for example, is just going to go, it's only bouncing. Do you want to? Okay, Carlos, we'll change the setup and you'll be half a second slower. You can decide. And we know what the answer will be. It would be, okay, I'll just put up with almost launching out of my seat down the straight, because we were watching it. We did the watch along on Twitch, and oh my word, Carlos Sainz onboards, it did look like he was about to, it was like an ejector seat. I've never seen it. I've never seen it that bad. And we thought it might be over, that whole topic would have calmed down by now. But I guess Baku, with its very long straight, and we've even seen cars, what's quite unique is taking very unusual lines on the straight, haven't we? Almost dodging the bumps.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Probably worth mentioning, as you just touched upon there, Tommy, we have moved over to Twitch for our live streams. So we're not only just doing some free practice and qualifying watch-alongs, but we're also doing race watch-alongs as well over on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/WTF1 official. I'm sure there'll be links and all sorts on our socials and down in the description below. But it's as you say, like they're not. They want to go as fast as they possibly can. If a driver has a headache but wins the race, they're going to take the porpoising, and this can be fixed by literally just raising the ride height. But they don't want to do that because it's slower, because it's all about ground effect and how the airflow goes under the car. I don't think the FIA are really going to do anything to answer your question, Stefan. Moving on to Team WTF1 member Sanjeev Perez is looking really strong again. If him and Max are respectively P2 and P3, will Horner swap them? No, I don't think he will.
No,
unless Max is gargantually quicker, and there's a reason,
like he was in
strategies.
Spain.
Yeah, but then that was for the victory, so can see the
But
for some fans are. But yes, I think P2, P3. I don't know. I think Perez is. This is the problem that they have now. We were discussing this on the Twitch live stream, weren't we, for FP1, Tommy? Is that how do Red Bull do this? They either go down one route and go, well, this is Max Verstappen's team. Perez, I don't care if you're quick. You knew what you were signing up to when you joined this team. Max is still our number one. He is the reigning world champion. We believe he is the strongest person to put forward for this championship. We have to, use him as much as we possibly can to get as much points as we can, just like we did last year when, Sergio, you weren't so quick, so we didn't have this problem. Or they go, okay, well, maybe we just throw both of these drivers into the mix, and if Max has a few more DNFs, Perez may well be the one that we have to then put forward. So they either have to put all their eggs in one basket with Max and hope to God he doesn't have more DNFs and things like that, and genuinely does start to perform better than Sergio, or they have to think on the flip side and go, well, is it better to have those two drivers and also keep Sergio in a better frame of mind that he doesn't feel like the number two and just the rear gunner? So it's a very difficult situation. And I don't really know which one to pick, to be honest, if I was Christian Horner, purely because Perez is there. Like, he's actually there for pace. Will we see it throughout the whole of the season? That's another question. We've come to Baku, which is a track he's pretty good at, to say the least. Is it giving us a slightly skewed reality to what it will be like for the rest of the season? Maybe that's what Red Bull are thinking.
It's hard to know because we saw, obviously, Perez did he ran wide, didn't he? And it kind of blocked Max's lap a little bit. Max looked a lot quicker in the second practice than he did in the first. He had problems with his rear wing, which was flapping about. And also they kind of changed the rear wing. Yeah, with Christian Horner, I don't think I can't see them personally doing the switch unless it's major. If anything, if they already want to go down the team orders and keep them away from each other, they've got a very interesting tactic in the fact that Sergio is known for being very good on his tires. So they could just do that. Oh, Sergio, this is the best tactic. You should just stay out forever on your tires. And then in that way, it's not too dissimilar, because I think Sergio could probably be a bit miffed. In my opinion, it was the right thing to do, the team orders, just so they didn't crash into each other. But I think he could be miffed that the strategy still favored Max, and when he didn't get Max was being held up and Sergio looked quicker, and it still ended up Max winning by a country mile, really, once the pit stops had sorted themselves out. So Sergio, maybe they kind of play the pit stop game, but it's going to be very interesting how they handle that. And luckily it's Baku, where they've never had an issue with teammates colliding.
It's so true. And also they have another decision for a day sooner, tomorrow, qualifying, of slipstream, because that is a big thing. Can give the driver 3, 4, maybe even half a second, 3/4 tenths, half a second. So do they go, right, you both get one run each in Q3? Or wait, if you're Ferrari on the flip side, where Sainz is a lot further behind Leclerc in the championship, do you go, right, Carlos, you've got to tow the championship contender both times? So there's lots of team discussions, I'm sure, and a lot of heated arguments between the drivers and the teams. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. And Perez has got good at a very good time for drama. Let's put it that way. Maybe not for you, Tommy, and your Max Cape. Next question. Cricket addict Ninad. Is Charles' performance putting additional pressure on Carlos? I mean, if it wasn't clear now, I don't know how much more Charles has to do, really. I think it's 10 in a row, 10 in a row in qualifying, if you count last season as well.
Oh, really?
So
didn't realize that as well.
Yeah, so it's been probably more mega job from Leclerc than it has been Carlos being particularly woeful. He's had a few moments, as we know, but Carlos, it's a massive learning curve for him, in my opinion, this season. It pretty much makes or breaks a driver. When you get a car that can challenge for the championship, you either overdrive and make mistakes, or you lap it up and you know exactly what to do. Verstappen and Leclerc have shown that they go to the good side of that. Carlos so far has given us evidence to show that maybe he's finding it a little bit difficult. And that's not to say that he won't turn it around, but the start of this season has shown that maybe he's pushed it a bit too hard in certain areas, and he's made unforced errors as well as had bad luck. I'm, putting my hands up to that as well. We have spoken about this a little bit in previous podcasts, but Leclerc has been on fire in qualifying, and immediately, you're under pressure. Like, Leclerc's coming out the blocks and is usually up there in free practice as well. That's a psychological advantage when a teammate is trying ever so desperately to get back on the pace of his teammate, who, he finished ahead of Charles in the championship last year. All these people, Leclerc's washed Carlos for number one at Ferrari. But that's changed very quickly. And Carlos, just needs to, I don't know. It's very easy for us to say as punters watching. But
just drive quicker.
Yeah, just drive quicker, but make less mistakes.
Carlos needs to he really needs to out-qualify Leclerc in a qualifying session.
Out-qualify in a race. So win the race.
Minimum, he needs to outrace him, but even just getting one on him in qualifying. And I mean, Leclerc's qualifying record is unbelievable, so it's easier said than done. So, there is pressure on Carlos, but I think Ferrari are probably not too displeased. I think they're probably displeased about a few of the spins that they've lost points in the Constructors' Championship and stuff like that. But going on to the previous question of, if Perez gets in the mix with Verstappen and gives them a headache, the fact that Sainz is there to just pick up good results and is not going to beat Charles could actually be really good for Ferrari, and the complete opposite to what me and everyone, I'm sure, thought was going to happen this season, where Verstappen's big advantage would be the fact that he would be the one beating his teammate in every race and always get the points. But it's been Ferrari that have had that with Leclerc.
We interrupt this WTF1 podcast for a very quick chat about one of our sponsors for this episode, LinkedIn Jobs. If you own a business, big or small, then listen up. 2021 is looking up, which means there should be plenty of new opportunities for you to grow your business. Whether you're shifting business hours or hiring more remote employees, one thing that remains unchanged is the importance of having the right people on your team. When you're ready to make that next hire, LinkedIn Jobs can help by matching your role with qualified candidates so that you can find the right person quickly. And to lend a helping hand, your first job post is free. LinkedIn is an active community of professionals with more than 30 million members in the UK. So when your business is ready to make that next hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. And now you can post a job for free. Just visit linkedin.com/WTF1. Again, that's linkedin.com/WTF1 to post a job for free. Terms and conditions apply. When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want a random person looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Did you know that your internet service provider knows every single website you visit? And what's worse, they can then sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who will use your data to target you. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anyone. I use ExpressVPN on all my devices. It works on everything. Phones, laptops, even routers. So everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can still be protected even if they don't have ExpressVPN. And the best part is, using ExpressVPN is as easy as closing the bathroom door. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. ExpressVPN is the world's #1 rated VPN by Mashable, The Verge, and countless others. So if you're like me and believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/WTF1 today. Use our exclusive link expressvpn.com/WTF1 and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/WTF1. Now, I can't forget the Monaco performance from Carlos, where he went different on the strategy and did get one over, I suppose, on Leclerc in some form. But, we all know that Monaco is a bit of an anomaly. And we're now onto a street track like Baku, which is very different to the street track of Monaco. And it requires a whole different set of skills at those speeds. But moving on to the next question, Nick 02662742. McLaren seems to have fallen back again. Is the car just extremely track specific, or is the car just not good? I think they kind of go hand in hand a little bit with that one. The fact that the car isn't versatile enough to be able to perform at every racetrack just shows that it's not a good, well-working and understood, probably, McLaren car. Because, of course, these new regulations means that the teams are still learning how these cars work. And that's the reason why we haven't seen massive updates at every single race, because some teams don't really know which direction to go or what updates to bring. And, throw in the cost cap as well. And you've got a very difficult set of cards that the teams have been dealt. So I just think McLaren haven't got a particularly good car. Danny Rick, of course, lacking in confidence a little bit as well. It's sad to see because, of course, the hype was McLaren with this trajectory. Where are they going to go next? Are they going to be fighting for the championship? They were always going to have a bad season. And, considering the run of form that they've had over the last few years and how much higher they've gone up the standings. But that's not to say they won't get a great result here or there or another few podiums. That's how the car's kind of set up, but it's not going to challenge every week, as we've seen.
It's going to be very interesting. This is skipping very far ahead, but 2-3 years' time, if McLaren are still just this team that promise so much and don't break into that top 3, top 2, what Lando does and whether he thinks, am I really going to win a championship here, even though the team is all built around me? Because, the Zach Brown's been very critical of Daniel Ricciardo, you could say rightly, but I think also needs to perhaps the team aren't exactly, setting the world alight. And if you kind of mentioned it as well, imagine, look back to Carlos Sainz when he left McLaren and joined Ferrari, and everyone was like, oh my God, what an idiot. Why is he left? McLaren are going to be world champions in 2 years and Ferrari are terrible. And now he's laughing. Carlos is in a very, very, very good car and McLaren are very odd. Just, Lando is putting in some unbelievable performances, but then there are some races where he does seem to like stick it in 7th, that kind of ballpark when the car's good. Even when the car's terrible, he still somehow gets it like 7th or 8th. So yeah, I'd be a little worried if I was a McLaren fan of where they're going,
where they're heading.
Yeah, they need to. I'd be disappointed as a McLaren fan that they don't seem to have. They've not broken into that top. And don't look like they're going to this year.
Yeah, certainly. It's been. Let us know if you're a McLaren fan. Let us know in the comments. How do you feel right now about your current 2022 season? Next question. Team WTF1 member Jack C96. How powerful will the DRS be this year with the new cars? And should Red Bull be a bit concerned, given they seem to have more issues with Max's wing flexing dramatically in FP1? I don't think they're too concerned because they changed the configuration of that rear wing for FP2, and he seemed pretty quick from what we saw. So I don't think he's taken a huge hit in terms of performance changing that spec of rear wing. And as for how powerful the DRS will be, I think it will be pretty damn powerful, especially if it's very windy as well. If they're going into a headwind on Sunday and it's really, really strong, or even just a relative headwind, that will make the DRS and the slipstream so ridiculous.
Well, do you remember the year we were there when it was really windy and you could be a second behind, and that's the old cars where they couldn't follow each other. You could be a second behind in that final corner and get a run.
I
It
think
was
I even remember they
unbelievable.
didn't. Some didn't have DRS and were then
Yeah.
closing to very close behind as well. So
Which, for the record, like, to be fair, those cars were probably more dependent on slipstream, but it's not going to be that drastically different, I don't think. And the DRS could be a beast.
It could be. It really could. So interested to see that. Hopefully it's not too ridiculous, although that could mean like an 8 wide down towards turn 1 after a safety car or something. Who knows?
We didn't get a question about him, but while we're talking about ridiculous straight line speed, we have to mention Fernando Alonso, because, oh my word, that Alpine is quick.
Yeah. Did you see as well when he was slipstreaming Hamilton, and he gave maybe a few inches as he went past him? I was thinking, mate, you're in free practice here. It was a little bit sketchy. But yeah, Fernando looking potentially like he could get into the top sort of 6 in qualifying come Saturday. So
then the first laps will be tasty with him, with
Fernando
straight line speed.
Yeah, just an absolute rocket ship. It'd be interesting as well. I don't know where the safety car line is exactly at Azerbaijan, but the thing I wondered looking back at the highlights from previous years is that they always seem to go quite early behind the safety car. Whereas if Max is leading, I would probably think that he would crawl all the way to the safety car and then bolt. Of course, you get less of a slipstream if you're going crawling over the safety car line then going. But it will be, I'm sure if you're going to put bets on, I'm sure a safety car will be something that will feature at some point during the race. The amount of mistakes we saw in the first 2 free practice sessions, there was no big crashes or anything like that, but so many going down the runoff. And when you translate that into qualifying and race, where probably about 75% of those going down the runoffs was just the drivers going, I won't risk it. I'll just go down the runoff. When it's qualifying in the race, they will have to risk it, especially if they're on a lap or they're in a race. They can't just tool down an escape road and then do a 90-point turn like Lando did.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be very interesting. That's why I love Baku. It can just, you might have 25 laps of just pure bore and then chaos will break loose.
Chaos breeds chaos at Baku, doesn't it?
Basically. It does. This next question's tied in quite nicely. Team WTF member Formula Wonderland. How many red flags will there be in quali? Are you off, Soph? I was just going to ask the question, how many red flags will there be in quali? Yeah. 2. Okay, there you go. Soph's just heading back home, so I thought I'd shout out to her as well. So yeah, there's Soph. She reckons 2. How many do you think, Tommy?
None.
Okay.
I'm going to go with well behaved.
1. I'll go with 1. So there you go. 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. And actually Katie's team Sophie there, because skipping ahead to her Baku prediction, her actual Baku prediction is 2 red flags in quali.
It's very specific. Very specific. Katie? That's going to be
not learned her lesson.
She's not getting half a point for 1 or 3. I'll tell you that. Next question. Team WTF member _Chris. The track is known to have somewhat light tyre wear, but we saw 2 blowouts last year. Why did that happen? Also, do you think we'll see tyre blowouts again on Sunday? Now, there was a big investigation into last year, of course, especially with both crashes were quite high speed, and it seemed as though the tyres just let go out of nowhere. And Pirelli, I think we joked about it at the time, Pirelli did an investigation into Pirelli. Their results, shockingly, was that there was no defect or anything wrong structurally with the tyres, and they concluded essentially that it was debris because they'd found something on a set of Lewis Hamilton's tyres that was like a cut or something. So that's the reason we don't know. That's the reason that Pirelli gave as to the tyre blowouts. There was talk about the shoulders of the tyres potentially just not working anymore and things like that. And they changed the PSI going into last year as well from 19 to 20 and little things like that. But Pirelli were like, nope, not us.
Not us, yeah.
It might be our tyres, but it wasn't us. It was actually a chainsaw in the middle of the track.
Yeah, and the fact that I feel like they tried to blame it on, well, they did kind of try and blame it on Red Bull, didn't they?
Oh.
And the fact that it was 2 different teams.
You didn't hear me, did you?
I did hear you blame it on the bogey, yeah.
You just ignored me.
Trying to keep a straight face. Verstappen's like high-speed blur. He did actually get a question on it in the press conference, and he was like, completely dismissed it and was like, well, it's completely different tires, it's a different situation. And then someone was like, oh, you're going to be cautious with that in mind. And he's like, well, no, because it wasn't our fault. So
yeah, different size tires as well, heavier tires this year. They've gone a step softer, haven't they, this year as well, from what I understand in terms of the compound they're bringing. So, but I'm sure Pirelli have done extensive research and will make sure that hopefully.
I certainly hope so, because not just because it was Verstappen, but that
it was a big crash.
Straight is sketchy. And I think you mentioned it in one of the other podcasts, but Nico Rosberg said it, didn't he? The other wall is really bad. I think someone actually did a simulation on YouTube where Verstappen's car went to the left instead of right, and it is not a very nice thing to think about. No, exactly. It is. I think Hamilton with a slipstream in one of the free practice sessions was going at 334 kilometers an hour. Imagine then just having a tire blowout. Obviously a bit of slipstream, but still well over 300 kph. And so fingers crossed, safety with the tires and everything else will be at top notch. Right, moving to Baku predictions now. I've gone for Perez wins again. Full Sergio hype train these days, but I think he's got a very good chance. And another bad weekend for Mick Schumacher. I reckon I've already got half a point locked in there because his car just stopped working in FP1. So it's not looking too good for Mick again this weekend, but we'll see. Katie's 2 was 2 red flags in qualifying, as we mentioned, and Carlos Sainz win. Don't see that happening unless it's crazy. Watch that be clipped up. Tommy? I've gone for a Leclerc win, so we've basically just gone, Max won't win.
Watch the comments. Oh, the disrespect for Max.
Yeah.
You're all Max haters.
And I went for no crashes at the castle section all weekend, and so far so good.
I was going to say,
normally it's practice session. I should have just said practice, because normally it's the practice where they kind of push it a bit, don't they? The first day where they take those risks, and we've seen it quite a lot. But no, so far so good. It's actually, just before we go into the fan predictions, it's that wall is almost like the castle section has almost become like fine. It's that turn 15 wall has become the new sketchy part that we have all the close calls at.
Well, speaking of, slightly further in the lap, turn 17, Alex Albon just drove into the wall. What was that about? I completely forgot to even talk about that.
Like he
was changing something on the steering wheel, a little bit distracted, kind of lost his bearings, and then boom, his front right tracking rod thing was just broken. So not good for Albon, because that lost him a bit of free practice running. So the fans' predictions: Razmastov, one of the Red Bull cars break down and DNF, car fault, not driver fault. Okay, you've gone very specific there. You clearly have never done a prediction before, Razmastov, because you need to go vague. Dear. The Panchand, Daniel finally outperforms Lando. Okay, and Mega versus Primus, a surprising winner. Well, that could be anything. But literally, I mean.
So that just completes the set of, we don't think Max is going to win.
Yeah,
it's gone Perez win, Sainz win, Leclerc or surprise. So basically, Max win. Yeah,
there you go. So Max will win. There you go. Because Grace is wearing her onesie once again, isn't she? To fully get the curse of Leclerc onto him and everybody else. So thanks, Tommy. What's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts is, I really hope we see something special from Fernando Alonso. That's what I love.
It's every time there's just a slight, you just kind of lengthen your words.
Yeah, as my brain works.
Yeah. I like it. Alonso masterclass. I'm keen for that.
I'd love to see that.
I'll see that. That'll be very lovely. And my final thoughts, as I've said all weekend, and I'm going to finish it with this podcast as well. No, I am stupid. Team Radios, please. For the love of God, please. I just need a good weekend for Charles Leclerc. Please. Okay. Thank you very much. I think
a great meme would be if Leclerc won and then got on the radio and went, I am not stupid. That would be.
And then say, subscribe to WTF1. Yeah. Thanks, Charles. I really appreciate that. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, everybody, for watching this post-practice podcast, the PPP. Thank you, Tommy, the WTF1 founder, for getting involved as always. We are on Twitch, as we mentioned, live watch along for qualifying and the race this weekend over on our Twitch channel. So make sure you go and check that out. Hashtag WTF1 podcast if you want to get involved in the discussion, and leave a like, 5 stars, great feedback, however you do on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. That would be amazing. So we'll see you for lots of content over the weekend as always. And
we're doing a QPP as well.
That sounds worse. I don't know why. A quali post practice. Wait, what? A quali post.
You tell we've been streaming a lot recently.
Wait, did you say a QPP? It's a PQP.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
That's why it threw me off. I was like, quali post. Anyway, there you go. Good stuff. Our minds are slightly frazzled. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye. Bye.